Welcome to a new session on pedagogic practices in natural science. Types of items in achievement and diagnostic tests. Tests based on type of response. Based on the nature of response demanded, tests can be classified into oral tests, written tests, and performance tests. Oral tests. Here the examiner asks questions or other test items prepared in advance to which the examinee responds orally. Measurement of the desired phenomena is done on the basis of these oral responses. Example: the ability to read with speed, accuracy and good pronunciation can be measured only orally. These tests can be used with students who have difficulty in making written responses. Oral tests are generally limited to the minimum because only one examinee can be tested by an examiner at a time, and in the case of certain aspects it will be difficult to examine the responses of an examinee without the help of hardware techniques like video, tape recorder, etc. Written tests. Because of its convenience and economy, the most popular type of test universally used for evaluating students is the written test. Any number of copies of a test can be got printed and administered to any desired number of examinees with the help of invigilators. The scripts can be scored and evaluated at the convenience of the examiner. But all types of behaviors cannot be measured by this method. Moreover, extraneous factors like handwriting, speed in writing, memory, etc., which may be beyond the scope of the test, will considerably influence the score. The possible precautions for this are minimizing the effect of such extraneous factors and supplement the result of written tests with data collected using other tools wherever necessary. Performance test. This involves activities involving psychomotor behavior. In such a test, the examinees are required to do something using objects or apparatus given to them. Example: setting up an apparatus, conducting an experiment, developing a pattern using different geometrical shapes, etc. Performance test can be used for measuring intelligence, interests, personality traits, etc. Moreover, it can be administered to illiterates and little children, but such tests are comparatively expensive and time consuming. It is because of these practical difficulties that performance tests are not as popular as written tests. Based on the purpose, tests can be classified as intelligence test, aptitude test, creativity test, personality test, achievement test, etc. For a classroom teacher, achievement tests are more important than other types of tests. Achievement test. An achievement test is a test for measuring the level of achievement of the student as a result of a particular program. It is used to measure the relative accomplishment of the pupils in specific areas of learning. These tests help the teacher to know the attainment level of the students so that he or she can select appropriate methods of instruction. Diagnostic tests. Diagnostic test is a test designed to locate specific learning deficiencies in case of specific individuals at a specific stage of learning so that specific efforts could be made to overcome those deficiencies. That means diagnostic test is intended to diagnose the difficulty or weakness of a student in a certain area of study. Hence, it is different from an achievement test in its purpose and nature. An achievement test measures how much a student has achieved, whereas a diagnostic test measures how much a student has not been able to achieve and provides clues for the probable reasons. Its purpose is to identify the exact nature of the difficulties and locate the causes that result in poor performance. An achievement test is prepared for a broader content area and it gives a proper weightage to content, objectives, form of question and difficulty level. But for a diagnostic test, only a small content area in which students have difficulties is selected. While preparing a diagnostic test, the first step is to analyze each teaching point into a number of stages in terms of sequential order and difficulty level. As the diagnostic test has to probe into the exact nature of difficulties, a number of items of different difficulty level from the same area is to be included. In achievement test, time limit is an important factor as it is a power test. But a diagnostic test is not intended to measure strength and so time is not a controlling factor. The pupil can take his own time to answer the questions, but he has to answer all the questions. There will not be any choices in this test. In achievement test, marks are allotted, but mark will not be a concern in a diagnostic test as grading, classifying and placement are not its functions. Based on the interpretation of results, tests can be classified as norm referenced tests and criterion referenced tests. Qualities of a good achievement test. Objective basedness. Any test meant for evaluation should measure one attainment in terms of instructional objectives. This is possible only if the teacher is definite about the objective and if each question represents an objective or objectives based on which the responses can be scored. Before setting items for a test intended to measure the attainment of learner in a particular unit of study, the teacher should analyze the objectives and the resulting specifications with which he has taught the unit. Then prepare sufficient number of items suitable to measure the degree of attainment in each of the specifications. Then the test can be said to be an objective based one. Comprehensiveness. A test is comprehensive if it covers all the points expected to be learnt by pupils as well as the predetermined objectives to be realized by learning these points. While preparing a test, care should be taken to determine a relative weightage to all items in the portion being tested and to construct questions according to that scheme. Objectivity. Objectivity of a question means the definiteness in the answer expected. If the question is not definite, the students will interpret it in different ways and will give different answers. If more than one evaluator is involved, they will give their own subjective interpretation and score the answers with different criteria. When the results of a test are not affected by the examiner's personal opinion or bias, the instrument is considered as objective. The tests for students are to be made in such a way that the opinion of the teachers do not unduly influence the results. Validity. A test is said to be valid if it measures what it intends to measure. That is, the test should measure all that is required to be measured and nothing that is unwanted. Validity concerns how well a test evaluates the students in the light of selected objectives. Several types of validity have been identified like predictive validity, concurrent validity, content validity, construct validity, phase validity, etc. Reliability. Reliability of a test refers to the degree of consistency and accuracy with which it measures whatever it measures. Reliability is the degree to which a true measurement of an individual is obtained when an evaluative instrument is used. The reliability or stability of a test is usually expressed as a correlation coefficient. There are a number of types of reliability. Stability over time, test-retest reliability. Stability over item samples, equivalent or parallel forms. Stability of items or internal consistency. Stability over scorers or inter-scorer reliability, and standard error of measurement. Discriminating power. A test should be able to discriminate the pupils on the basis of the phenomena measured. Practicality. In assessing the value of a test, usability or practicality is an important criterion. Ease of administration, ease of scoring, ease of interpretation, etc. are the factors contributing to practicality of a test. Types of test items. A written test is made up of a number of items or questions, and these items differ on the basis of the types of responses they demand. Test items can be generally classified into two categories: fixed response type and free response type. Fixed response type. Here the respondent does not have the freedom to respond in his or her own way. Example, objective type. Free response type. Here the respondent has enough freedom to respond in his or her own way. Example, short answer type and essay type. Objective type test items. An objective type item requires the examinee to select the correct answer from among different alternatives or supply a word and demands an objective judgment when it is scored. The most important feature of this type of question is that its scoring will not vary from examiner to examiner. That means there is no element of subjectivity in objective type items. Merits of objective type items. Objective and easy scoring. Greater reliability and better content validity. Saves a lot of time while answering and scoring. Better content sampling. Eliminates irrelevant factors such as speed of writing, fluency of expression, handwriting, neatness, etc. Measures the higher mental processes of understanding, application, analysis, prediction and interpretation. Demerits of objective type test items. Objectives like ability to organize matter, mastery of the content, ability to present matter logically and in a coherent fashion, etc. cannot be evaluated. There is a possibility of guessing the answer. Construction of objective type questions requires special abilities and hence it is too difficult. No freedom for the examinees to express their views. Printing cost is comparatively higher than that of other type test items. Objective type items have poor content coverage as the content that can be covered by an item is very small compared to other forms of questions. The objective type test items are again classified into two: selection type, that is alternate response, multiple choice and matching type, and supply type, that is completion and simple recall or one-word answer. Selection type. Alternate response type items. In an alternate response type item, the examinee is asked to read an item or statement and judge its truth or falsity. He or she has to make his or her response either in the following ways: yes or no, true or false, right or wrong, agree or disagree, etc. Guidelines for the construction of alternate response type item. Use simple and clear language. Avoid textbook language to discourage cramming. Avoid partially true or false statement. Example, blood is made of plasma. Number of true statements should be approximately equal to the number of false statements. Avoid quantitative terms like more, few, heavier, lighter, frequently, greater, etc. Example, all plants give out oxygen during daytime. Avoid specific determiners such as usually, some, generally, should, sometimes, always, never, etc. The items should be randomly placed. The authority must be mentioned for statements that may be controversial. Avoid the use of double negatives. Example, Golgi bodies are not absent in plant cells. Limit the statement to a single idea. Multiple choice test items and matching type items. Multiple choice test items. Multiple choice item consists of two parts, STEM and options or alternatives or responses. The first part, which is presented in the form of a direct question or incomplete statement, is called STEM, and the second part is called options. Usually a multiple choice item has 4 or 5 options in number. Among the options, one is the keyed response or the correct response, and others are called distractors or misleads. Guidelines for the construction of multiple choice test items. Be sure that there is one and only one correct or clearly best answer. Rotate the position of the correct answer from item to item randomly. Avoid unintentional grammatical clues and keep the length of all the answer choices equal. Include from 3 to 5 options to optimize testing for knowledge rather than guessing. Avoid using all of the above, since it makes the item too easy for students with partial information. If some of the terms used in the STEM are repeated in the correct response, the same type of language is to be used in the other alternatives also. Avoid the use of double negatives. Do not repeat in each option words or phrases which can be included in the STEM. Avoid distractors that do not fit grammatically with the STEM. Use the option none of the above only when the keyed answer can be classified unequivocally as right or wrong. Don't use this option when asking for a best answer. Matching type items. It consists of two parallel columns, column A and column B, in which the longer description is placed in the left column and a word, phrase or a number is placed in the other column. The items in the column for which a match is sought are called premises or STEM, and items in the column from which selection is made is called responses or option. The respondent is required to make some sort of association between each premise with each response. Guidelines for the construction of matching type items. Keep both the stem and list of options fairly short and homogeneous. Complete items should appear on the same page. Each description in the stem should be numbered and the list of options should be identified by letter. Include more options than premises. Give instruction for how to match very clearly. The list of premises should contain the longer phrases or statements, while the options should consist of short phrases, words or symbols. Supply type. Completion type test items. A completion type item is a sentence in which certain words are omitted and replaced by blanks. The respondents are expected to fill in the blanks with a word or a number or at the most a phrase. Guidelines for the construction of completion type test items. Avoid textbook languages as this may encourage rote memory. Omit only keywords. Don't eliminate so many elements that the sense of the content is impaired. Word the statement such that the blank is near the end of the sentence rather than near the beginning. There should be only one correct response for each blank. Blank should be of uniform length. Use clear language so that the respondents can know exactly what kind of answer you expect. Avoid irrelevant clues like a, an, etc. before the blank. Simple recall type test items. Simple recall type item is a direct question to which the student responds by writing a single word or short numerical figures. Here the student is not expected to identify the answer from a suggested list of answers by the examiner. Guidelines for construction of simple recall type test items. Textbook language should be avoided. Avoid items that have ambiguity. Phrase the item in such a way that the response is sufficiently brief, preferably consisting of a single word. Direct question form is usually preferable to the statement form. Extended response items. Short answer type items. Short answer type question has more than one value point but not more than 4. It is different from an essay type item in the length of response or answer required. Merits of short answer type questions. A relatively large sample of the content is covered. It is easy to construct, provides a little opportunity for guessing. Useful in evaluating the ability to interpret diagrams, charts and graphs. Objectives of understanding, application and problem solving can be measured. Demerits of short answer type items. Less objective than objective type items. Scoring can be tedious and somewhat subjective. It lowers test validity and test reliability. The responses depend mostly on memory aspect. Guidelines for constructing short answer type items. Make questions simple, short and grammatically correct. Give clear, specific and complete directions. Maximum length of expected answer should be precisely indicated. Avoid abstract statements deviating from the main context. Avoid subjective terms like discuss, what do you know about, etc. The item should deal with a single idea. Essay type items. Essay type items require a long answer covering a number of points and a variety of objectives. Generally, its answer will have more than 4 value points. Merits of essay type items. Easy to construct. Some of the objectives like ability to organize idea effectively, ability to criticize, ability to interpret, etc. can be tested. Eliminates guessing. It helps to induce good study habits such as making outlines and summaries, organizing the arguments for and against, etc. Develops logical thinking and systematic presentation. Promotes divergent thinking. More economical than objective type test. Better content coverage. Demerits of essay type items. Poor content sampling. Difficult to score. Unreliable scoring, that is subjectivity of scoring. Items have relatively low validity and reliability. Promotes guessing and bluffing on the part of students. Time consuming. Demands excessive time on the part of students to write and on the part of teachers to assess. Guidelines for the construction of essay type items. The test should be neither too general nor too specific. Use a predetermined scoring scheme. Give specific directions to students to elicit the desired response. Adjust the complexity of the item and the length of the response to the maturity level of the student. The expected length of the answer should be mentioned in each question. Do not start essay questions with such words as list, who, what, etc. since they are likely to be short answer type items. Ensure that the maximum content is covered. The wording of the question should be clear and unambiguous so that every student can be interpreted in the same manner. Now let us summarize the session. Written tests are the most frequently used means of assessment of academic achievement in science. They are usually used for assessing achievement and for diagnosing students' difficulties in learning. Broadly, the test items are fixed response and extended response items. The most frequently used fixed response items formats are true-false items, selection type items, multiple choice items and matching items. The popular extended type item formats are short answer items and essay items. Each type of item has their strength and weakness. Here is an assignment for you. You have conducted written instructional objectives to be selected to one of the biology units of your choice. Develop test items, true-false items, selection type items, multiple choice items and matching items and short answer items and essay items to test the achievement of these objectives, keeping in mind the do's and don'ts of each type of items. Here are some books for further reference. Educational and Psychological Measurement and Evaluation by K. D. Hopkins, published by Allen and Bacon, Massachusetts, 1998, and the website is www.abacon.com. Measurement and Evaluation in Education and Psychology by W. A. Mehrens and I. J. Lehman, published by Holt, Reinhardt and Winston, New York, 1973. Impact of Science Teaching by V. Narendra, published by Oxford University Press, New Delhi, 1971. Thank you for watching this program. See you again with a new topic next time. Bye.